Guys, welcome back to the channel. Another case study I'm filming with the man that needs absolutely no introduction to the guys that are in the RSA, Big Boy Bao. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
As always, super stoked to be filming one of these, and we're in Dubai. And you guys can see we're in my suite in the resort. And Bao's obviously come a very long way from Australia. I don't know how long of a flight it was for you on the way here.
It was like 11 hours, something crazy like that.
11 hours. Painful flight, I know. That's why I don't travel to Australia as much anymore. But he's here with one of his good friends, Kashi, which you guys would have seen his case study 2 times on the channel. And just this month, he might have a deal that closes tomorrow, which I might update in the bio description and things like that. But this month so far, he's contracted 9K in commissions this month. And at the moment, you're 19 years old, right?
Yeah.
So 19 years old, traveling the world, all the way from Australia, working the past 3 weeks here in Dubai. And stoked to have you here, bro. I wanted to, as always, with all these case studies, take a few steps back and go back to before you met me and what was the whole story behind that, how you found out about me, Kashi, all that type of good stuff.
Yeah, so let's take it all the way back when I was in high school, back when I was 17. Even before that, really, just to give you guys a little bit of context, like I never knew about this whole online space up until 2022. So like technically I'm pretty fresh to the game. And up until that point, like I was just a nerd, just, you know, really geeking out on my studies. Very much like Kashi, really. I prepared my whole entire life for uni to get a high ATAR, which at the end, like I got a pretty decent ATAR. I got into the course that I wanted, which was physiotherapy. And like the starting salary for that after 4 years of study was 90K, right, per annum. And like, you know, compared to like other professions, that was considered pretty good, right? But then like during the 2022 sort of year, I kind of searched up online with like, you know, different business models and what to do, because I didn't want to, you know, go into like retail or have like a casual job or anything like that. I wanted to work kind of online and work by my own schedule. So I just searched it up like a young hustler, right? And then I came across a very well-known guy in the whole biz op space.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I knew that right away. Yeah, yeah,
then,
for sure. I'm a master's guy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
And then like,
Yeah.
I think it was in the middle, like towards the middle and the end. I just watched all this content.
This was on agency stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agency stuff. Yeah. Random side hustles, but I was pretty sold on the agency stuff. He nurtured me pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like towards the end of the year, me, Kashi, and another friend split the program that he was selling at the time. And then that was my formal introduction to the whole online space. And then from there, like, you know, going to uni, just seeing like, you know, how slow that the whole system was. Like I was doing like 4 units and 2 of them were pretty much useless towards like my actual end goal.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, you know, like I might as well just do something else, right? And that's where I more so leant towards online. And then like, you know, one day Kashi came to me, you know, with like a job offer. He said like, oi, like my company right now, door to door, right? They're looking for more recruits. So then I was like, yeah, you know what, might as well, right? Back then, I was very introverted.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you can remember.
Yeah, of course.
I was very introverted. So then I was like, you know what? What's like the next best thing to put myself out there, right? Instead of going through like therapy or whatever, I like, why not just get paid doing it?
100%.
So then I hopped in, did not know what to expect, stuck on my first 2 weeks, right? And I stuck with it for like a month or two. slowly rose up to being in like the top team in that whole region. So yeah, I mean, I learned a lot of skills in that. And yeah, I don't regret it one bit, even though, you know, being in nice, you know, at home, taking calls is better. But like that was like my sort of canon event.
For sure. It gives you a lot of growth in a small amount of time. Like if you're having to literally knock on doors with strangers, that's very confronting, as well as cold calling is. But it's over the phone, like in door to door, you have to think in the moment, and you're going to have to get rejection just right there in the face. So
yeah,
100%.
100%. And then after that, like after I just got my door-to-door job, I just dropped out. Like Kashi, he deferred his course, like, you know, by semester as he went on. I just like, well, why not just drop out? Like I have to make it work.
How did your parents feel about that?
I didn't tell them.
Oh,
I did not tell my dad about that at all.
Wow.
Because in the back of my mind, I knew I had to make it. And I knew that I will make it because of that. Because every single time when I put myself on the back foot a little bit, put my back against the wall, I knew every single time I will make it out alive,
100%.
one way or another. So then I did not tell him. Quite frankly, I was too scared to face that.
I did the same as well. I mean, I didn't drop out of university, but I didn't tell my parents for like 8+ months when I was doing high ticket sales initially.
Yeah.
Because it's terrifying, right?
Yeah.
You're not making any money. It's like, how do you even communicate that?
Yeah, there's no like proof of concept. And especially like when I came from Vietnam myself.
Yeah.
I was born there and lived there for my first 5 years. And like my dad, who literally sacrificed his life ever since I came out to like come to Australia for a better opportunity. Like just like telling him that I dropped out, like his whole life's work.
Yeah,
Literally gone to waste.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, like I couldn't bear that fear. So I didn't tell him. So then after I left my door-to-door job, I got into email copywriting.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's rough out there. It's rough out there for email copywriters. You would know this if you are doing that right now. Stop sending me messages about if I'm doing any email right now. I'm not. And I know how shit that feels, like sending out cold DM after cold DM. You're doing anything with email right now. It's just it's the worst. Plus, you can't sell either. So even if you got someone off that outreach strategy, it's like, it's just not even going to happen.
Yeah. Like, although I did get a few clients and I got like a pretty big whale in the game, by that time, I was just so fed up with it. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know the skills. I wanted to get rich quick.
Yep.
Which never happened. And yeah, that put me back about like 3-6 months of actual growth. So then after that, I was like, yo, Kashi, like link me up with Connor. And then that's when I booked in a call with you. And then we hopped on, chopped it up. It was more of like an onboarding call.
100%, yeah.
I was just asking like, I knew I had like 45 minutes to an hour. So then I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna buy. Let's go in there, right? Although I didn't have the full amount at that time, I was gonna go in there, ask all the questions, like what do you see in successful students that you have? Like what are the common traits? You said commitment, right? And they have a really strong why and why they want to make it work.
Yeah.
And like just a bunch of questions pertaining to success in sales, not necessarily like the program itself, because I know like by that time Kashi was traveling Thailand, making 10K a month, 15K a month. So I was like, why am I still here in Perth? You know? So yeah, I knew the program would work for me, hence why I'm here.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that's essentially like from start to finish on, well, not finish, but like from when I met you. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah. It's super cool to see that you guys are really close friends growing up, and that, you know, Kashi referred you and now you guys are both here. It's a pretty cool full circle moment. Like you started with me, I don't know, like 12 months ago around that time. Maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, a little bit less. I joined you late Feb.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it's to think of like where you're at now. I forgot to mention at the very start of the interview, yes, he's at 9K contracted commissions for this month. He might have a little bit more if a deal goes through tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. We'll update in the description. But, you know, it's tomato. Like literally next month, it's going to be 10K plus. Like you guys will see that on my IG highlights. I'm sure I'll have a post that I can post on my highlights there. But it's just going to keep going and going and going. And, you know, I think you spoke about on school yesterday or the day before, it's like 30K a month, then you're going to come back and film another one. Because like he's in a space and an opportunity where that actually is possible. He's on a same offer as one of the case studies on the channel and another one that's going to come out next week or the week after as well. Zen, I'm counting on you for your first 10K month as well. So yeah, on a great opportunity and absolutely crushing it. One thing I wanted to highlight that Bao spoke about before is when he came to me, he specifically asked explicitly, not the details of the program, like he highlighted before, but like what actually makes someone successful in this career, in this transition, in this vehicle. Bao is a very, very, very good example of a like top model client. He took the advice that I had given him and he absolutely ran with it. We'll talk more about like your first offers and things like that here in a second, your journey with that. But something that I think it's really important to highlight, a lot of RSA clients watch these interviews all the time and people who want to join the RSA. And I think to get a bit of picture of like what you should be like, it is exactly what Bao's doing. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but the way that he's shown up, his commitment, his dedication, asking questions, literally everything, it's not surprising that you're here at all in Dubai. Like it doesn't surprise me. Bao's one of the most hardworking clients I've had, showing up to like every single call, getting his calls pulled apart, which I'm sure you'll talk about a little bit later, how fun that is. But Bao is a very, very good example of like what you should be if you're inside the RSA right now watching this as a client, or you're considering being one in the future. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you joined the training program. What was the steps from there? What was it like? Was it overwhelming? Was it a lot of information to go through? Take us through the next steps from there.
Going through the program itself, like on the onboarding call, you made it very clear, like the steps on what to do. First, go through the network. Like first of all, just get a job, right? Because all the sales skills, like it wouldn't matter if you're like the best skill wise if you don't have a job. So like first of all, get a job, and then from there, like start going through the skills and everything like that, right? And that was by hopping on networking meetings within the community itself, making my name well known, and then stepping outside of that, doing personal branding and you know, things of that nature, so that I can actually establish myself in the space. Overall, the content was very straightforward.
Yeah.
Right. It was very straight to the point, no fluff around it. Yeah, even the skills part as well. Like you kept it very straightforward, very easy to understand. Yeah, like it's just literally from A to Z. And if you're a beginner, A to Z, from 0 to 10K per month and beyond that. To be honest, within sales.
Great. And so you came in, you're going through the training structure, you're starting to network, look for your first jobs. What was your first job like? How did it go? And yeah, tell us more about that.
So my first job was an appointment setting job for a BizOp offer.
Was it the affiliate marketing one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like on the phones, and it's nothing like, you know, taking calls by the beach or anything like that. It was very much in the dungeon, just locked in with my headphones on, just dialing leads, right? Manually. Well, not manually, but like, you know, not using the power dialer because I didn't know how to use that back then. But yeah, like all my days looked very much the same. It was wake up, right, freshen up a little bit, and then hit the phones. And then hit the phones for 1 hour, and then have an hour team meeting, right? Just a debrief, look at numbers, do some role plays, do some trainings. And then after that, it was like straight dials. for like 9 hours. And then I'd have dinner and then sleep, repeat. That's it.
Yeah, and during that period, very tough, very punishing, very unforgiving, and at some points demoralizing too, because it's like you're putting in all these work, these efforts and these inputs, but you're not seeing a huge amount of money. Which, if you're watching this, you shouldn't expect that in the beginning. You know, in a commission-only pay-per-result space, yes, you can earn really big money very quickly, but you can also, when you're starting out, there is no ceiling, but there's no floor either. So I say this all the time to people who are looking to get in this space, is just have a mindset that you're going to struggle for a while until you get good, until you make a lot of money. Yes, some do get lucky and they get on a good offer and they're already predisposed to some types of sales skills as well. Like, don't get me wrong, that happens for sure. But for the general people, most people who are watching this, you're going to go through the same phase that Bao went through. It's going to suck. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of dials. It's going to be a lot of just throughput. And just understand that it's going to be very much a learn before you earn phase, particularly with this skill. You're only paid for the results you bring to the table. Sales is a meritocracy, and for a good reason. The best performers are rewarded the best. And you can only have the capability to do that with time. And the problem with sales skills, not the problem, but just the fact is, time just takes time. As I've probably said that to you a million times.
Yeah.
Just time takes time, time takes time. Just keep moving forwards and keep doing the inputs. And don't worry about the outputs, because they'll eventually come too. It's very much just kind of taking shots, but not really seeing the actualization of the results for a long time too as well.
Yeah. I think I was on that offer, that role specifically for 2.5 months. And I left to join another offer that Kashi was on. Honestly, that was like probably like the most fun times, because I was with Kashi and like I knew like how a closer and a setter relationship should be like, because we had really good communication between the both of us on exactly what he wanted, how he wanted the call to be laid out to him for like an easy close. And like just being in that environment, right, especially like with that offer owner, on the first day, like we went out, you know, mind you, this guy makes millions of dollars.
Shout out to James. Yeah.
And like, to be honest, he taught me a lot in terms of like tonality, conviction, energy. Because before that, I was very low energy, very like passive, right? Very like soft spoken. But then with inside that offer, Kashi literally told me like, just go above and beyond with your tonality, with your energy, with your enthusiasm, and then naturally that will like level out as you like get acclimatized to it, right? That's why I'm speaking with a lot of energy, a lot of conviction here. I didn't start out that way.
100%. Yeah.
Right. I think on a coaching call, when I did my first call review with you, you're like, oh, dude, like your tonality sounds so much better when you first started out with me like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And so, I credit that a lot to James, to Kashi.
And just the repetition, like getting the reps in, like very much like yourself. I'm actually quite an introverted person. So, you know, when I first got started in sales 5 years ago, I talk over this quite often. Like, I couldn't pick up the phone and order a pizza. I sound like a babbling idiot. So if you are introverted at the core and you want to learn to communicate and get paid a good amount to do it, this is the best way that you can do it. You get so many interactions in a short amount of time. And Bao, compared to when I first met him to now, you can just see the way he's communicating in this video right now, right, in this interview. It's miles apart from when I first met him, and I'm sure I'm very different from 5 years ago as well. There's videos somewhere on the channel you can see that. The progression that you can make in such a short amount of time with sales is so high. And again, it's just, I can even recognize now like the progression you've had in terms of like communication skills and being able to communicate clearly as well.
Yeah, because I was just looking back on my old calls in like the fitness offer, right? I was like, dude, this is like night and day difference, And like back in the fitness offer, like my tonality, yeah, of course, improved like since when I started, but like still like even from then to now, like it's still a pretty big difference. And I think that just takes a lot of time, lots of repetition to really hone in and really get good at. And now it just becomes like my baseline. This is like natural to me.
Yeah.
Like speaking with, you know, a lot of chest instead of, you know, being very shallow with the way I project my words. My level of thinking is a lot clearer, a lot more sharp. Of course, there's still a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, it's pretty impressive, like, progression.
Oh, it's a huge improvement, man. It's massive. So you went from the affiliate marketing offer to the ecom offer with James, which is great. And so how long did you work there for? What was that like? You learned a lot of like the sales setter dynamic and like how to do that. But what type of money were you making there? All that type of good stuff.
At the
Ecom offer.
ecom offer, oh, the setting one, not much,
Yeah.
like nothing crazy. It was like 2K max per month.
Yeah.
But I was just very happy to be there. Not for the money, but for like for the repetition and for the exposure to the offer owner himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Like at the end of everything, when I decided to leave, like I literally thanked him. Right, I was like, dude, like my level of conviction, my energy, my enthusiasm, my tonality, literally skyrocketed because I was in that type of environment. Because like on the first day when I was on the dials, he like listened into my calls on close, right? He was like, more energy, more conviction.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And then like that kind of rubbed onto me, especially meeting him in real life as well, which is a crazy story. Seeing that he's just a normal guy, but like with a lot of energy, a lot of charisma.
Yeah.
And I took bits and pieces of that and incorporated it into my own life, which naturally rubbed off into sales. So yeah, huge props to him.
Yeah, very good point. And we'll circle back to the exposure thing as well, like what it's like being in Dubai and obviously being here with me. I mean, I'm not going to talk about, again, like I'm this big guy or whatever, but I know how important that is, and we've spoken about that a couple of times. You literally just highlighted with James. So we'll circle back to that, but I kind of want to tie things off of where pretty much the offer you're on right now has been like the final offer you've been on. Is that correct? The ecom offer right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So right now you're on an e-commerce offer, which is teaching and helping people to build their own e-commerce store. Very high ticket as well. Some can range up to what?
25 grand.
25 grand per e-com store. Is it like a done for you thing?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, cool. So like $25,000 deals. The guys on the offer are making a lot of money. Like the top closes there, like max 50K, I think.
50, yeah, maybe even 60 this month.
That's ridiculous. So max 60, but like the lowest, because I remember when we first spoke about it, when you landed the offer, like the lowest person on average is making what, besides you this month? Like what was it before you got there?
22.
Yeah, it's like the lowest closer besides Bao is making 22K a month, which is insane, which is super exciting to see like the progression of like what's going to happen in the next couple months. You know, we're only kind of just getting started, and you know, Bao's only like 10 and a bit months in. And again, he was in that phase where he wasn't earning much with the previous ecom offer that he was on, but he was learning a lot. Beliefs, communication skills, things like that. And now he's in a position where he can earn that income, but it took a little bit of time. Is it going to take the same amount of time for you? Do you have to earn that amount for that amount of time? No, of course not. Everyone's journey is very unique and very different, but it's always important to mentally keep that 6 to 12 month time frame in your mind of hitting that first 10K a month, right? Talk about it all the time. So just tell us a little bit more before we move on of like the types of people that you're dealing with, because you've gone from this, super shy guy who's an introvert to now who you are now, talking to pretty high level people commanding $25,000 from them. You know, I think from a deal you said you made, it was like $1,800 in a day, something like that.
Yeah.
So $1,800 in a day, and I'm sure there's many more of those to come. What's it like speaking to the type of prospects you're speaking to as a 19-year-old, and like, yeah, what's the experience been like?
Dude, it's crazy. When I'm actually in the moment and my laptop is like right here in front of me, and I'm actually connecting with the other person, I feel like I'm an authority figure, because I am. Right? That's how you're supposed to frame yourself in the sales call. But then like when I actually take a step back, you know, hop off Zoom, I'm like, I just collected 15 grand from this guy.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, hold on, that is crazy.
Yeah.
When I start to peel back the layers, I'm 19, they're like 50 plus. You know, trying to make an Ecom store. You know, it was very good offering. You know, that they're in a tough spot, right? They just opened up, you know, about their current life situation to me, where they exactly want to go and what the gap exactly looks like and how we can actually bridge that gap. It's, yeah, I mean, like, now it feels like second nature, because just yesterday, I closed a 25K deal, and like after that, I didn't really feel anything. I was like, oh, it's just another day in the office.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like it's a pretty cool feeling. You know, and getting to that point, being more detached, that's something I got to still work on. But like, you know, just knowing that you have a skill that you can, that is transferable across multiple industries, not only in the high ticket space, but like, you know, in the corporate space, in the brick and mortar space, because like I'm so advanced with like systems and processes. Well, not so advanced, but like, you know, I know these stuff, these type of things.
Yeah.
Just having that confidence in the future so that I never basically go broke.
Which is a crazy thing that I talk about very frequently, that once you have that confidence, you've done it a couple times, especially you've climbed that very difficult mountain of 10K a month, you can do it again, because you've seen it, you've seen beyond the horizon, and it's very difficult to make anything less than that once you've done it yourself, because 10K a month in itself, or the earning potential of doing so, is very much a belief game, particularly in the make money online space. But at the core itself, like Bao just mentioned, if you can learn sales as a skill, regardless of what you do, you're never going to have to worry about money ever again. There's a caveat to that. You have to be good at sales. You can't just be a general salesperson and just never worry about money. Like, you have to be actually good at the craft. And if you know that and how to get good offers, you know how to build a personal brand, you know how to network, build connections, you know how to interview, you know how to screen for the right offers, you will literally never have to worry about money ever again. And that's a really, really liberating feeling. You really can't get that from starting an SMMA or a dropshipping store and these other type of things. There are some skills that allow you to do that. For example, if you're doing organic dropshipping, you learn how to do really good at content, and you can figure out how to affiliate and so on and so on. Not to get super complex, but it's really all about learning the skills that will allow you to be redundant in the future, right? Sales is going to be the number one thing for that, at least from what I've seen from my own experience. Because for you now, even a couple months down the line, you have that confidence, you have that skill, you know how to get job offers, you're always going to make above 10K a month. Doesn't matter what's going on. You literally can get access to a phone or a laptop in any English-speaking country, and as long as you have access to one of those two things, you can figure it out. It's crazy to think about that, really.
Yeah. And it's like, it just brings another layer of security. Because yeah, naturally going into this, like any young person, like you have uncertainty whenever you go into something new. But now, after I've put in, you know, the months of hard work, you know, the months of kind of roasting my course, literally that whole time, I built up the confidence, I built up the skills, the identity, most importantly, of someone who can earn like 5 figures plus per month. I think that's really important. It's really about that identity, not really about the skills. Yeah, the skills, you know, is important. You know, the correct word tracks, the correct tonality, but it's about who you are to actually execute that. Because if you show up to a call wrong, but you know the theory, you know the tonality, you know the word tracks, but you show up to the call wrong, you're not that type of person yet, then like it comes off as fake, and the prospects know that, right? So I think that's also another really important topic, which is identity.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Yeah. From the way that I view things, going from 0 to 10K a month, particularly online with all the business models that exist out there, is very much to do with your identity. If you don't have the things that you want to have, it's very much because you're not the person that you need to be to attain those things. I think it's a very simple principle that you can implement, which is be, do, have, not do, be, have. Most people get it the other way around. You have to become the person and see the person, almost in essence be delusional, and create the person that doesn't currently exist to actually reach that point where you can have the things that you want materialize in front of you, right? You have to be the person before you see the person ultimately. And I think that is very, very a good link to explaining. I'll kind of add in a little bit, we spoke about a bit earlier, but how personally have you shown up inside the RSA community? Like, what does that look like? What does the effort look like? How many questions have you been asking? Like, what have you done over the last 8 months that's actually enabled you to get here?
It's crazy. I mean, again, it's not anything like you're marketed to, like taking calls by the beach, 2 hours of work a day. It's very much like a full-time job type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's why when I started at my age, 19, I have a lot of time and not many expenses. That's why I can actually afford to be risky. And like the effort and the intensity in which I showed up every single week was, always 10 out of 10. I always came prepared with my questions. I always came prepared with my call recordings. Like literally Connor said to me, in my first closing role, after my first day, I was like, oh dude, like I have so much to go, but I'm so keen to get this going because I'm loving this so far. And then you told me to come to every call with one call recording, right? And then I was like, okay, cool. I have to come to every single call with a call recording. And that's what I did for like the last 6 months?
Yeah, like
6 months?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then I would just get, just slapped around, really. It's like, hey, you didn't say this right, you didn't say that right. Of course, in a friendly manner, but...
and a joking manner as well.
Yeah.
We had more than a few of those. Welcome to life, if you know, you know.
But yeah, like like me putting myself out there really helped me improve in such a short amount of time. And I, very quickly developed the skill set that could make me 10 grand a month. And it was just basically from that point a matter of time until I reached to that point. But did it suck? Yes. Did I like getting my calls reviewed every single week in front of different people in the RSA? No. A couple of times Connor did laugh at my calls. I really felt bad. I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And I remember like afterwards you messaged me, you're like, hey legend, like good job on showing up to the call, good job on putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, but because of this level of effort, this level of intensity that you showed up with, this is the reason why you will make it.
100%. And the big thing that is quite unique to RSA from what I've seen is that, of course I have favorites, right? Of course I do, right? It's not difficult to get noticed in a community like the RSA, for example. Bao was one of those guys, as he just explained, coaching calls every single week, literally every single one that he could attend. Even if it was at late nights, he was always showing up, literally 2 times, every 2 Q&A calls I had every single week, showed up to every single one, was always asking questions, always implementing feedback, always had a sales call to review. And it's incredibly uncomfortable to do that. You're having your sales skill assessed real time in front of people, and it's embarrassing. It sucks. I've done trainings before where I was in a mastermind. I've spoken about this in coaching calls, but not in a YouTube video that I'm aware of. But, I was in a mastermind coaching call where it's a 20K investment, very high level mastermind. You've got guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s making 20, 30, 40K US commissions per month all across the world. And at the time I was like 21, getting my calls reviewed in front of, all those guys that are way ahead of me, doing role plays in front of them, in front of like mentors. It's very scary, it's very intimidating, but in reality it's what's required to actually be successful. And that's one of the traits that I always look for in people is, are you willing to get feedback and criticism? If you are not willing to do that in sales, this is not for you. Like, it's not for the faint of heart. If you're gonna come in here, trying to learn sales and you're not open to criticism and feedback, you're gonna have a very tough time, because that's the only way that you're gonna learn. Whether or not it's your own criticism, whether or not you're giving your own feedback on your own calls, or it's a mentor, or it's a coach, whatever have you, it's a very, very important thing. Again, not did he only come to coaching calls and have his calls reviewed, but he was talking to me all the time, every single week, asked me questions, always asking for support, and always curious as well. Always inquisitive, always wanting to learn more. And that's really ultimately what I'm looking for people who are looking to join the community and clients that are already inside the RSA. I really don't think enough people use the resource they have to their fullest capability. Bao's one of those people that has. That's exactly why he's where he's at. He's a hard worker, he's shown up consistently. And I think a client on an onboarding call said this pretty well, that I'm trying to think of what he said before. Don't just show up, turn up, right? It's not enough to simply just participate. You have to be in, right? You can't just show up to calls and just be there. You have to participate. You have to want to learn. You have to want to get better. There's no use intending to join my community if you are just going to be one of those guys that just turns up to calls here and there and just kind of just sit on the sidelines, basically. You've seen a direct correlation between the two. The contrast is the people who do participate and show up in that way, they're getting results. The people who are just kind of sitting there, they're doing well, but not as well as the people who participate.
Yeah, 100%. Like back when I was in that kind of era where I was just in that mode of just full focus on skills specifically, it was basically like a one-on-one session, really.
For sure.
Because like there was like 5 other people on the call.
Yeah.
Two weren't really asking questions. The main guys I could remember on the top of my head was like Reese, Chor, myself.
Mm-hmm. You'll see Chor on the channel soon.
100%.
10K month next month for sure.
And the Reese video up there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was just like I really turned up. Like I was like, okay, there's implementation, but then there's the intensity of the implementation. Sure. I got to show up, come prepared with a list of questions so I don't waste my time, don't waste Connor's time, and actually milk literally all the resources that I have available to me to actually get to where I am right now. So yeah, I think that's really important to note.
100%. So one thing I want to talk about is Dubai. And the whole exposure thing you talked about, because to me, exposure is invaluable. And I know you spending time here, coming and seeing me, I think we've been together like 3 times now.
I think so,
Something like that, while you've been here. I've been smoking cigars and going out to dinners and things like that. I'm curious to hear what your experience has been like that, being in a place like Dubai, living here for 3 weeks, being able to travel, make money, as well as just coming to see me in person, everything like that.
I think exposure, like just being, like my whole intention of why I wanted to come in the first place was to visit and really touch the dream. I think I messaged you, I was like, oh dude, I'm going to Dubai. You're like, what? Or like Kashi told you or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you told me like, hey, just come here, just like look at the dream, look at the reality and what is actually possible. Because yeah, like you can watch YouTube videos and live life vicariously through, you know, the screen. I did that for a while. But then like actually coming here, seeing the Rolls Royces, seeing like the cars, the opulence, experiencing Dubai Mall, experiencing like different things, experiencing real opulence. Because the most luxurious thing that I was exposed to back in Perth is Crown Hotel.
Yeah,
Right,
for sure.
Crown Casino.
Yeah.
And like, that was like a mediocre experience. Like, it's like what I kind of expected.
In comparison.
Yeah.
In comparison. Like, I remember the first place I took you for cigars.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah. The place with the view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man guys.
Oh my God, this guy.
If you know, you know. But
The joke that only me, you and Cash will know. Yeah. That's so funny. Fond as well, actually.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's been interesting to experience that opulence in real time and actually experience that luxury, touch it, feel it, you know, coming to the resort and things like that. Like, how's that been, just like being able to touch it, feel it, and just be able to like go from, by the way, we didn't even talk about this, go from literally sleeping on the floor back in Perth, sleeping on the floor for months and months and months and months, to coming to, you know, 5-star resorts, you know, worldwide known luxurious hotels, and seeing all that type of stuff. How's that, just the contrast from like where you've been now to where you are?
Well, back in my apartment, I upgraded from the floor to the couch. So, you know, pretty big win on that.
We're moving.
But then, like, the whole difference between what I see in Perth, the whole culture, the standard around that, and comparing that to Dubai, like everything is so optimized in Dubai.
Yeah.
Like, Kareem drivers, you know, being very efficient with their time. Even like the level of service here. Like literally people open your doors when you arrive at a hotel. Like, hey, I'm not some important guy. Like,
For sure.
But then like one that opened my door, I was like, hey, maybe I am something.
You are. Well, you're here for a reason, right? Like, 100%. Like, it's a heavy contrast between Australia. Like, it's a huge difference. But like going from like sleeping on the floor to now living in the place with Kashi for the time that you've been here, and like being in these different types of environments, it's super cool to see.
It's eye-opening.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like when I first met you, like I was just like in awestruck around like this whole room. Even like in the restaurant when we went downstairs as well, like the level of service, you know, people actually greeting you, and they actually introduce themselves to you. And like, you know, they're actually happy to be there. That's something that me and Kashi discussed as well. It's like people are actually happy to actually show up to work. Whereas people in Australia, they're like complaining all the time. Showing up with like an attitude, with baggage from like the previous day. Whereas people here, at least from what I've experienced, they actually want to work. Right? They actually love what they do, which is crazy to see. Just like that high level of excellence and standards that is present here.
Absolutely. And so how important has that exposure been for you in terms of being here, touching the dream? Like, why is exposure so important for you, do you think?
Exposure is important because I've done a lot of visualization. You know, on the floor, looking up at the ceiling.
That's so funny. On the bed on the ground.
Yeah. But then like going from that to actually seeing it live right in front of me, being able to touch it, right? That's like a whole different experience because I'm actually living in the moment, not just like being in my mind. Now, of course, there's arguments between like your mind doesn't know what is reality and what's not reality, what's, you know, visualization and whatnot. But like, you know, being in the moment, touching things, like that is crazy.
Yeah.
Being able to experience that, experience like not only that, but like the small 1% of things as well, like just experiencing like how fast paced the culture is here.
And wealth.
Yeah, the wealth, yeah. You know, lots of cars.
Lots of cars, yeah.
Lots of cars. And like, I don't know, like what Fon said is like just being flexed on. It's like, you know, like there's people above you. Whereas in Perth, like I don't really get that as much, right? Of course, there's
sure.
like, you know, my previous off-roader and that, but like being here, like I hear like a Lambo outside just like revving its engine every like 3 hours, waking me up from my sleep.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that goes to show like how like the differences between Perth, where I was, to here in Dubai.
Yeah, no, it's a big difference. I know a lot changed for me when I moved here over a year ago, and it's cool to see, you know, yourself, Kashi, and all the other clients that have been through here, like Kasim, showed him around for a bit, and the other guys, which you guys will see on the podcast that we did of all the guys making over 6 figures, which was super cool to see. So if we were to go to the transition to what you've found working with me personally has been like as well. So as far as like being in RSA, the community, like you explained a bit on the structure before, but like how would you explain that to someone who's not really in there? What was it like working with me? What was the intensity of communication, the time of communication, the calls like, everything?
Well, first of all, like you got to show up, right? Connor's not going to chase you up because you're just lazy, right? That's not his job. Because the whole point of coaching is that you really need to want the thing that you want, right? And like he's not going to do the work for you, but like the level of, let's start with the content, the training specifically. Again, very to the point, very straightforward, right? Anyone with like 2 brain cells together can basically digest it. The level of support is very one-on-one, but again, you have to show up, you have to message him.
Yeah.
Right? Be naturally curious. He literally sends me like Loom videos explaining like, you know, pretty hefty topics.
Yeah, everything.
Around like sales, the identity stuff as well. You know, all like everything pertaining to success, right? He will support you with that, but you need to message him, you need to update him every single day, so that he actually has a tab on you where you are. That's how he provides you the support that you need to really succeed. On the Q&A calls, right now, of course, you know, new people have come, and like, you know, that there's a high attendance rate, which is good. But you need to attend them. You need to be the first person to put up your hand and ask the question. Right, I was that for a very long time.
Yeah.
I was the first guy putting my hand up, and like the last guy to have a call recording. Right, so it's just being very intentional with the way that you show up, right? And Connor would, you know, reciprocate that same level of effort, and that's what all of the successful clients of Connor has done, because I've asked all of them. I've asked Kashi, I've asked Rahul. I've hung out with, all other different, you know, case study clients. Reese, he's a very close friend of mine. So like, yeah, you just got to show up, right? That's like 50% of the training. You just got to show up. It's so simple. Most people don't.
Yeah, I think one thing to highlight on as well is you cannot come in here with ego. Not even slightly. The biggest problem I see with a lot of people coming into my training specifically, or really any make money online business vehicle, is that they think that they know things and they think that they know enough, right? Trust me, what you need to know is more like this. Like there's so much stuff to really understand. That's why it's very, very important to understand the value of having a mentor, because yes, the training's amazing. Yes, having the support is important, but like Bao said, you've got to use it. And I've lost my train of thought. Wouldn't even worry about it. So that was a training. Cool. That was your experience in general, and that's your recommendation of people using it. What, in case it isn't obvious already, I still like to ask this question anyway. How likely would you be to recommend someone to join the training program? Yeah, so ponder about this one.
If they're on the fence,
Yeah.
then like I would tell them to really think about it. Now, coming from a sales guy, that is the worst objection ever. But actually, like really think about it. Because, you know, here we're not like any regular B2C company offer, right? We want real results. That's why Connor has 30 plus case studies, right? And if you are still on the fence, right, I want you to really think about it on where you see your life going. Because before meeting Connor, before considering high ticket sales, I literally future paced myself, right, on what life would look like if I was successful. I was like, okay, cool, nice. I paint a picture there. Now, what would life look like if I wasn't successful? Especially when I dropped out. Like, I would need to go back into like uni, possibly. Need to either get like a 9-to-5 job, right? Dead end 9-to-5 job to, you know, after I grow up and have more responsibilities, things like that. And like, because I saw Kashi achieving the results that I want to achieve back then, I was like, I can't unsee it. So like, why not just take a bet on myself and really move forward? But like, if you don't have that, and if you don't really have that burning desire inside of you to really do this, then like, I mean, you're just going to end up wasting Connor's time. You're going to end up wasting your money.
And time, which you can't get back.
Yeah. So really think about it if you're on the fence, right? But if you need like a little bit of a nudge, right, to get over the fence, because, you know, whatever, fear, nerves, just do it. Especially if you're a young guy. Because look, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start is today. So if you have time, if you are young, if you're hungry, if you don't have much expenses, just do it. Like worst case scenario, you leave with a skill, right? But if you really take a bet on yourself and actually do this and not try, right? I tell this to all my prospects because they said they want to try an online business.
There is no trying.
Yeah.
There is no trying.
Like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, this has, like, especially if you're young, this has to be like your life.
Yeah.
I committed my life, sacrifice family, sacrifice relationships, sacrifice friendships,
Yeah.
to be in this exact position, right? So just like, if you have a goal, if you have like a vision of where you want to be exactly, you know, just do it, right? Now, of course, if you're doing it for family and things like that, right, you still got to sacrifice it, because I did it for my family and I still had to sacrifice it at first, right? But then now, you know, after, you know, implementing everything to such a high intensity, you know, moving as fast as possible, right? I'm still 19, right? I can afford to hang out with my family and, you know, hang out with friends, right? Still kind of have a social life. But, you know, this 2025 is going to be a big year, so I'm still going to be locked in, but, you know, you have to like draw out what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're willing to not sacrifice. And then once you have that clear right in front of you, then you can decide whether to do in sales or not do sales. Because it's going to take a lot out of you, right? It took a lot out of me.
Yeah, took a lot out of me as well. And at the end of the day, brass tacks, you have to be obsessed with this. There really is nothing less that you can have. Like, you need to be obsessed with this. And just to like touch on Bao's point as well, if you're a young guy watching this, which majority of people who watch my channel are, this is what, you know, particularly a business opportunity, particularly high ticket sales, most people are attracted to. Like, young guys want to do this. You know, you're 19, 20, 21, 22 watching this. There is no better time to be doing this. The barrier is so low, or the standard is so low. High ticket sales is becoming more popular. There's more people doing it than ever. But trust me, the line for like what's actually required to succeed is actually really low. If you're anything like Bao, if you're any of my case studies in the channel, it's so simple to be successful. You just have to have that level of commitment, that effort, and that level of obsession, and understand that you have to ask yourself a very clear question. What's more risky, staying in the position that you're in right now or taking the leap, taking the jump? Because I know, for example, if you are younger watching this, you are 19, 20, your early 20s, you're making it to your mid 20s. The older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more risky this becomes, the more less available to you this becomes. You can't take big jumps and leaps of faith. You cannot go, sometimes weeks or months without income, right? The earlier you start this, the better. And you just really, really, really don't want to live with what if. Take the jump, take the shot, because who knows where you could be in 6 months to a year. You could be sitting here with me in Dubai,
100%.
That's exactly where you could be. And it's very much just behind hard work and a jump and a leap of faith. But again, really evaluate, is your position worth staying in, or is it worth taking the jump? Because it is a very scary one, trusting some random dude like me online with your money and, with your time. I understand that. But if after 30 hours of case studies you've watched probably by now at this point, you can go watch them on the channel. This is and counting. We've got so many more coming out this year. Hopefully I want to get up to 60 case studies. That's my goal itself. If after watching all these things you're still not convinced, there's literally absolutely nothing that I can do for my part.
100%. 100%. Because you really got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Especially if you see me as an introverted guy, I was very stiff socially, right? I just lost my train of thought. But even around friends, I was very awkward.
Yeah.
The people who I was comfortable with. But the first step, I reckon, for me was going to that door-to-doors job. Now, do you really need to go down that route? No, right? Because now I know, there's good guys like Connor, right, who can actually, guide you through that path, right? You just got to put yourself out there. I did, and look, I turned out fine, right?
You turned out just fine, absolutely. So if we're going to tie off the interview today, there's a lot that we covered. I'm sure the guys found it very valuable. Is there any final notes or any final comments you want to finish on before we finish up?
I think the final note is just, if you have a desire to do well in life, right? Whether it's, money, relationships, whatever, right? Just go out there and do it, right? But please, if you're a young guy, just get your money up, run up the bag, and then worry about the other stuff, okay? Because if you're watching this channel, if this popped up on your recommended, you're probably on this track, right? And yes, making money online, right? Especially for Australians, we are very skeptical of scams, all right? In reality, not many things out there are scams, right? True scams. It's just that people don't really put in the effort to actually, reap the rewards, and they just end up blaming, the program or the course. But most of them haven't even logged in yet. So how could it be a scam? So you just really got to rock up, just have this conviction in yourself. You probably didn't believe in yourself in the past, but just make this one thing, right? Have a moment of decision to really go all in to actually achieve the results that you want. Because at the end of the day, right, I had that desire. I was in your shoes, all right? And I ended up fine. Right?
I ended up fine, absolutely.
Somehow spawned in Dubai, so...
There you are. There he is in the suite in Dubai, is crushing it. So, guys, if you enjoyed that interview, hopefully you enjoyed that interview. Hopefully you got a lot of valuable tips from Bao. He's crushing the space at 19 years old, and he's got so much potential to grow this year. So again, hopefully you found it valuable. If you want to be like Bao, if you want to be like all the other case studies on my channel, you can apply to join the RSA, the community, which Bao is obviously a part of the RSA. There's a link down below in the description box to fill in a form. Take you 3 to 5 minutes. you'll be asked a question of why you want to join the RSA. Give it a little bit of effort. Don't just put, I want to make money. Just put a little bit of effort so we can understand the type of person you are, because as I talk about all the time, the reason we have such great results is not just because of the training is great or the community or the support or the coaches or everything else that you get. It's also the people that we work with, right? It's very, very, very obvious. My YouTube channel attracts the right people, and that's why we have such great results. So if you're watching this, it aligns, you think you're the person that I've talked about, Bao's talked about, you think you're like Bao, you think you're like the rest of the other people, then definitely go ahead and apply below. But hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that one, and we'll see you in the next one.